Hello, entrepreneurs. Joe DeChara coming to you live from downtown Flushing, New York for another amazing live version of How to Win at Business. And tonight I get to cover another one of my favorite stealth tax. Actually, this isn't stealth. This isn't stealth. This is about when people get those nasty uh, penalties and interest added to sometimes nothing. Sometimes you don't owe a penny, but they charge you interest and penalties for not filing. And that happens all the time. I just got a couple of my own zero tax return penalty notices abated. If you're watching live, give me a hashtag live. If you're watching the replay, give me a hashtag replay. If you don't know me, like I said, I am a CPA. I don't know if I said I was a CPA, but I am. I've worked with thousands of small business owners, and I have probably gotten, I wish I kept track, but I know it's definitely in the millions of dollars of literally penalties, just penalties and interest abated, easily tens of millions of dollars in tax savings from offers and compromises to just settling cases, tens of millions of dollars. And I've been doing this for over 35 years, folks. I've written tens of thousands of letters to get penalties abated because I learned a long time ago that just because the government or an insurance company or even a bank hits you with some kind of penalty, you can fight it. I should have had my friend Aldana on tonight because she's think like a negotiator. And I realize, I've been negotiating with the IRS and state and local governments for my whole career without really realizing it. And the good news is, the bad news is that, the system that was broken before is even worse now, and it's not going to get better anytime soon. And the ramifications of that is that millions of people are getting notices because the machines are just spitting out the notices. They're not coming from people. They come from a computer. And what happens is if you get a notice that you owe money and it's wrong, well, what happens is with my clients, they send me the notice and I send in a response saying, well, no, we don't owe this money. And the IRS is required to respond to that. And it's on a timetable. And if you don't respond to that, then they send you another letter that says, hey, you didn't respond to the first letter. So like the next letter is it's going to get worse. So respond. And it's this whole series of correspondence that has to be this sequence. People in marketing, I know these, they call them nurturing sequences, but they're not nurturing from the IRS or the state. And so once COVID hit, the whole correspondence thing hit a wall. So I have a client that gets a notice, we respond. And now in the normal course of business, they would respond, the government would respond. Well, they don't respond. So, we put it on the back burner. I'm not following up with old tax stuff because it takes them a long time to respond. Well, their response has been to send a notice of intent to levy. Like we never responded to them, but we did. And probably the notice is either sitting at the post office or it was delivered and they're sitting at home because they can't keep up with all the work. So here's the result of this is that they're going to on top of penalty notices being spit out left and right. And I've already, had this with some clients, and, it's gotten to the point where I have to tell my clients, look, you got to get on the phone, and you might have to be on hold with them for 2 hours. But me writing a letter is not effective anymore. It used to be 100% effective. But now, if you do get a penalty and you want to get it abated, there is a science to this. So I'm going to show you, this is a real case where the client got hit with a penalty. Actually, I messed up the screens here. I was going to show you the penalty, not my letter. Let me get that. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. I got to upload it, and hopefully I can do this now. Well, you know what? This is how we're going to do it. Okay, so hopefully you could see this. So what happens when you get a notice, a penalty, there is something in the law called reasonable cause. And just because you get a notice, you can fight it. You have appeals rights. Okay, every time you get one of those notices, they give you all kinds of other things, and they tell you that you have a right to appeal. Well, what is reasonable cause? So if you're going to craft your own letter, you have to have it structured properly. If you see how this letter is structured, it's directed to the address on the notice. I put exactly what it's regarding: the client, the tax period, the form number, and the tax ID number, so they know who we're talking about. And I asked for an abatement of the penalty. You got to specifically ask for an abatement of the penalty, okay, and the applicable interest based on reasonable cause. Okay, so when you use that kind of language, it's like the key words, like the bells go off. Reasonable cause. And also that you did not act in a willfully negligent manner, meaning that you had no intent to file your taxes late, or something happened. You did everything that a reasonable person would be expected to do to file your taxes or pay your taxes or whatever the penalty is for. Now, there's only a few instances where you can claim reasonable cause. If there's a hurricane, COVID is a reasonable cause. This is medical. If you had a medical emergency, maybe something like a death in the family, anything out of the ordinary that would have knocked you off course. One of the funniest reasonable causes that I've never been able to use is if the IRS gives you written erroneous advice. and I'm sure it must have happened, but relying on a professional, if you get bad professional advice, it is considered reasonable cause. So in this letter, you see that I actually blamed myself as the professional. It was my responsibility to file the extension. My client relied on me. She thought I did it. I thought I did it. So based on that, we got the penalty abated. Now they say in here it was because it was her first time ever filing, and that's fine. That's another, that's not really reasonable cause. That's like, okay, I really didn't know, so, and they're going to give you a fly on that. But the professional advice is definitely reasonable cause. I have used it thousands and thousands of times. It works almost 100% of the time. I can only remember a few cases where it didn't work. So that's my story. I'm sticking with it. If you're around Saturdays, we have Mastermind with Joe DiChiara, where we have fun and games and mind-bending business stuff that we discuss. So thank you, everyone, and God bless. Over and out. I will be back shortly.